Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is I have no idea what number this is, like 57, 56 episode of the Supernova Show. And we are super prepared here. I am doing this on site. So I got Mr. Robert Kastner with me. And we're going to talk some Schmoedown. We got the pay-per-view that came on last weekend. We're going to do that. We're going to do some, we're going to talk about some like multiplex and then the Untitled open mic. And then, of course, the wonderful event that was the Oscars 2022.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then also, we will not be talking about Morbius. I mean, we might in a few months when it comes out on digital, but I am not watching it.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's really up to Robert. If he sees it and wants to talk about it, then we'll talk about it one day, but not right now. But yeah, let's see. What else? We got Halo episode 1 and 2. We're going to talk about that. And then, of course, as the little bit of the main event is going to be MoonKnight episode 1. So, yeah. So, how you doing, Robert?
Oh, it was a tough week, Colton. It was tough. I'm so glad that the weekend has arose. I've been looking forward again to this as the bottleneck for the purpose of the weekend starting. Work has been terrible. I just wanted it to get to this point, and it's been a hiatus since we've last spoken officially on live for everybody. So it's going to be fun to get to talk about all these things, all these crazy things of varying context and of varying quality.
Yeah. Yeah, it sure is something. Like, of course, yeah, it's been quite a week. We haven't had a show in 3 weeks. Yeah. Guess what? My son was born last week, so that kind of took precedence. And then the week before that, we thought, oh, he might make his arrival. So we didn't want to have a show then either, for the same reasons. But now he's here, and now I'm on the show. So we're good.
And in a week's time from the time he was born, the name, his birthright name, has been mired through the muck, unfortunately for him.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I agree. Give me 1 second. My son is about to bat.
Yeah, action shot.
So I'm going to try and take some pictures.
Action shots. All right. Let's go.
Yep.
I hope he gets a hit, because it'll be sad if he doesn't.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, let's talk about the Ezra Miller situation real quick. And while you vamp, I'm gonna mute myself.
Yeah, I'm not up. I didn't read the stories per se, but obviously we know that he was arrested for disorderly conduct in Hawaii, which is just sort of the latest in a long stream of situations that he is finding himself in, where he is on the outside of the law. And by that, I mean he's getting arrested because he apparently can't live in normal society anymore. He couldn't before protocols and whatnot. So it's not like COVID is an excuse. I know that I have sort of social anxiety now after all this has happened, and we're still in the midst of it, especially around the world. But yeah, no, from what I had read, in the little bit that I had read, it seems like he is a hater of fun. He does not like when he is in a public area and people like to have fun around him. He is a gatekeeper for that, it seems. And because of that, and he found himself in a nice locale in Hawaii, it seems like he just can't figure out a way to be a normal person in society anymore. I know that because of these things, because of the arrest, and then he was apparently harassing a couple as well, I think, during this process, or like after he got arrested. So I think there was a second incident as well. People have called for his removal from being the Flash, the most high priority thing, high profile thing that he has, which has been pushed back as part of scheduling conflicts and how the DC extended universe is shuffling everything, even though Flashpoint's supposed to be the main nexus for how things are going to change within the universe. But yeah, that's being pushed aside, and now people want him to be pushed aside, canceled a la Johnny Depp, so that he can't really exist as a normal actor anymore. I mean, sometimes you do that thing where you say you separate the art from the artist, but he really seems like he wants to go off the deep end, and he's doing a really good job as he continues to move along the diving board and jump off and jump higher and higher, bouncing. His ass is going to slip off because he seems to be in a really bad way and seems to be just a bad person in general, especially online, with online handles and profile and whatnot. So I don't necessarily disagree with the idea. I assume Warner Brothers probably would want to try to separate them. I mean, the other side of that, people's argument was Ray Fisher was basically let go and is now persona non grata for a whole lot less, just because he spoke up against the company and how the whole situation during the Justice League filming had taken place. So I don't necessarily think that's the worst idea if Ezra Miller isn't available to be the Flash after this. If they could do something where they could figure out how it is that they can reboot him being the Flash as part of Flashpoint, that would seem to be a logical step for that. So he's kind of a piece of shit. Kind of makes sense, though. It's not like this came out of nowhere. So it's unfortunate for Colton that he named his kid after a very biblical name. Also after a cool character from Star Wars Rebels. But the first instance where his name after the baby was born being put in the spotlight was that in a negative ilk. So sorry, Colton, that had happened. Obviously, this has nothing to do with the kid. And it seems like Colton is finding ways to enjoy himself on site. So that's cool. Just a weird thing that had occurred. It's one of those things, if you're named after a celebrity, usually if it's more directly connected, if you have the full name, but Ezra is such a unique name, it sort of goes hand in hand. That and, better than Ezra and all those things. They all sort of amalgamate and probably get lumped in together. So apologize, Colton's new baby, that Ezra Miller is ruining it for all of you Ezras, but that's okay. Beyond that, looking forward to everything that we're going to discuss tonight. A long, jam-packed episode that we're expecting here today. We haven't spoken in a while. Everybody out there in the Supernova Show universe probably wondering how it is that we have not advanced as per this introduction. Usually like to have someone to riff off of and someone to rip on, which is what I do with Colton all the time. But we don't have that, so this is me doing what I can to keep the show going. So thank you for coming in and looking at me as I continue to vamp and vamp and vamp some more. I don't know what everybody here is looking forward to most for us to talk about. Obviously, the Fan League stuff and the Schmoedown stuff. There's some interesting things that have been happening there. There have been some headway being made. Obviously, as seasons progress, and we're getting into the spring now fully. Things that happened in the winter, they continue to sort of roll downhill as the shows ramp up a bit more and more, as we get to see more people, more competitors coming out. We get to see how it is that they're commingling, all those things. So that's really fun. And it looks like my monologue here is now turned back into a diatribe, which is good.
Yes. You did really great. Like over filming and stuff for his thing, I could hear you talking, and I was like, yeah, I agree with everything you just said. I have a question.
Yes.
With the Ezra Miller situation, do you think this will affect the Flash moving? Because now he's apparently also threatened people with murder.
Yes.
do you think that will affect Flash in any way, or do you think it will negatively impact Fantastic Beasts?
Oh, I forgot about the Fantastic Beasts part of it. That more so than Flash because of how Flash has been pushed back. Flash has been affected not necessarily by Ezra Miller, but by Warner Brothers in general. Maybe a twinge of Fantastic Beasts, but I think that Wizarding World universe is sort of all set up and has a staunch fan base that really can't be removed or really can't be knocked off course just by one person's weird and insane acting, honestly. I don't think it really will affect the Flash movie. I was just sort of spitballing that it would be cool if they could use that as a logical jumping off point to make it not the Flash anymore. But I assume that's not going to happen. So no, I just think it's going to be this weird cloud that hangs over it. I don't really think it's going to affect how it does as a box office thing or how people perceive the movie. It's just going to be like, ugh, we have to watch Ezra Miller for 2 hours plus. Ugh.
Yeah, like it's really weird that we're gonna have to deal with all that. But yeah, this is Ben Affleck's last time as the Batman. Michael Keaton's coming back as Batman for this movie. Like it's supposed to lead into the Batgirl. Like this is a big deal. And unless they decide to like secretly cast a Wally West real quick and then just have it where Flash dies in this movie and now Wally picks up the mantle. Like that's this sucks.
I mean, if you're a DC fan and you have been waiting for so long, because this Flash movie has been in concept for 6 years, 5 years, something like that. So it is really kind of like a knock on the head of it, but it's still made. It will still air for both of these things. Again, I think just because of the proximity, Secrets of Dumbledore will be it'll be juxtaposed in a weird way, but I don't think it will impact either of those movies overall.
Yeah. All right. So, what do you think about the Oscar situation that's going on? Like,
it's fun how much stuff comes out every day about what had transpired or what was working on to be transpired. What do I think about the Oscars? I think if it's a conspiracy theory person's wet dream, because as it was happening, people thought it was fake, and from the angle that I saw, it was hard to tell that a blow had landed, right? And then they did the thing where they cut out, and you couldn't hear anything, but you could read Will Smith's mouthing the bad words that he was saying, and then it just sort of went forward, and then he won his Oscar, and everybody sort of acted like it didn't happen. And then you have what comes out next. You have the immediate reaction that night. You have the late night talk show people talking about it. You have Will Smith putting out an Instagram post, probably because his PR people told him he had to. Never acknowledged to apologize to Chris Rock during his speech. And then you have Jada talking about it's a season of hurting or whatever it was. It's a season of forgiveness. And then Chris Rock just, I think, mentioned yesterday that he's still processing it. But he gets to sort of come out on top of this because he's on tour right now with Kevin Hart, and shows are selling out because they really just want to hear kind of what happened there and how he's going to spin this into a fun set as a comedian. So it's so weird. It's such a weird thing that. Did you ever watch? There's a Family Guy episode where Peter starts his own television network.
Yeah.
Just due to the fact that he didn't get to watch the Emmys, and David Hyde Pierce went crazy and bit someone and didn't get to watch it. That's what I feel like this is, but it's in real life.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Like, it's so odd that, like, all the things that have came out about the situation, like, we have, like, apparently they asked Will to leave and he refused to leave.
Yep.
So then the cops were called, and Chris Rock was like, yeah, no, I don't want him arrested. It will just make things worse.
Mm-hmm.
So they let him accept the award. And now, like, Chris Rock had a comedy show last night, and someone yelled out to him, F Will Smith, and he was like, no, that's not necessary. Like, he is doing like the best, because like me and my wife have talked about it, for like, Will Smith only did that because it was Chris Rock. Like, if it was anyone else, like if it was Bruce Willis up there and he made the joke, or like someone big like Dwayne Johnson or John Cena, he wouldn't have done that, because they would have smacked him right down on the ground. But Chris Rock is, a 5'7", 135-pound man, so who, has enough respect for what's going on, that, yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. But I just saw, like, I got an email from People Magazine just like 2 minutes ago saying that Will Smith has resigned from the Academy.
Oh,
so
interesting.
And I had heard reports that, because I watch the John Campea show like every day, so every single day this week they've been talking about it, and it's only got progressively worse. And people have been talking about he might have got expelled from the Academy, which means, or he might get his award taken away. I don't think he should do that, because people, there's still people like Harvey Weinstein who still have their Oscars.
Yep.
So they can't really take his away, but they could make it where any film that he's in can never win an Oscar again.
Yeah, that's weird. That's like a Roman Polanski situation where, he can't be on American soil. Everybody has to like go overseas to film, and people can see his films, but it has that sort of moniker about that they're not really.
Yeah, and like, is a studio that has like this really good movie that they think, oh, it's got Oscar buzz, or it's gonna have Oscar buzz, are they gonna cast Will Smith? Because now, if they do, he can't win an Oscar for it. And he's going to be the lead in most movies. But now, yeah, like, at least, like, they didn't expel him. He resigned. So he still can't ever win an Oscar again. But at least it wasn't like, hey, like, yeah, no one's ever going to forget this. Like, like, the fact that, Dune won so much.
It won every time Dune came up. My wife, I was like, "Guess what? Dune's gonna win this one too." Every time it happened, it was so funny.
Yeah, and like Coda won. Like, I'm really surprised a streaming movie won Best Picture. But
I mean, Netflix wanted it to be them, and they had so many good chances and failed every time. And this was a good chance too, and just they lost momentum at the end. Power of the Dog. Lost momentum, so it's kind of funny. It was Apple TV,
but yeah, it's so weird that that happened. But also, like, but no one's talking about it. No one is talking about the Best Picture winner. They're not even talking about Will Smith and his Oscar win. They're talking about him assaulting a dude, and that's crazy.
Yeah, it's weird. It's interesting, juxtaposed to two things based on what you were telling me. One, if they ever do an Aladdin 2, is he up to be replaced? And two,
well, I mean, I don't think like that would never win any awards anyway.
No, but I mean, just from a Disney
award,
perspective of them wanting to move away from that.
Yeah, like, but I mean, Disney does enough like kind of sketchy stuff under Bob Chapek. They might do it because people will look at the Aladdin movie and they'll be like, Academy Award winner Will Smith.
I mean, that's you mentioned that if they had Oscar buzz, he wouldn't be available for it. But you do get to, in every situation now, say Academy Award winner Will Smith, which does bring gravitas. The other thing that's interesting is, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 comes out next week. Even though the reviews haven't been fantastic, I'm still excited for it. And Jim Carrey's been, going around and doing his media tour, and he's been intimating that he might retire from acting. And what you were telling me, I was like, oh man, does that mean like Will Smith's gonna retire from acting? He could. I mean, he doesn't need to do anything else. He's done a lot.
Now, so I think it was like 2 weeks ago, Will came out and said that Marvel was in talks with Jaden about doing Miles Morales, and that's gone. That has to be
Of course,
gone.
that has to be gone.
Like, I feel so sorry. Like, I mean, he's not a good actor, but now I feel sorry for his kid, because his kid could have been the first, like, the first time that Miles has ever been in live action, and now that's not going to happen because
now he is
dad.
not.
Yep.
Yeah, no. That would have been interesting if they like introduced him during like across the Spider-Verse. Maybe not this one coming up, but maybe part 2. You know,
Yeah,
working on crossing parallel multiverses and seeing him in live action, because they were talking about maybe doing that with the real life Spider-Man coming into this one if that was going to happen. I heard talk about that. So yeah, it's a bummer if that does in fact ruin those talks.
Yep. Yeah. I agree. Like it's wild. It's something else. But yeah. I'm trying to think of everything that's yeah, like I am like I'm really excited for Sonic 2. I'm really excited for Secrets of Dumbledore.
That's the next 2 weeks. Isn't that great?
Yep. 2 weeks from today.
Yep.
And 1 week from today is Sonic.
Yep. I can't tell you how excited I am for it. That movie has everything I wanted as a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
So I don't care about these. Whatever. Doesn't matter. You're not dissuading me, is the point. Critics. You can't do it.
Yeah. Uh-huh. No, I think you got a walk.
Oh, wow. Hang on, Emma. Hold on a minute.
So thinking about Oscars stuff and thinking about how we have situations where people are butting heads, is that a good transition for us to talk about other universes where people butt heads, a la the Schmoedown?
Yeah. Okay. So actually, I kind of want to, since I did have my press conference thing.
Yes.
I would actually kind of like to open it up just to fan league stuff and then move into Schmoedown.
Okay. We can do fan league stuff.
So if Christian is watching this, because he told me specifically to tag the Schmoedown in it so he would know, hey, we're going to do fan league stuff before we talk about whatever.
Yes.
And also, my son is on second base, so go ahead.
Make him. Woo-woo. Yeah, hopefully he can get a steal or something before they send him. That'd be cool.
He just so.
Okay.
Let's see if he steals third.
I mean, that would be great. That's what I mean. It would be cool. Stole third base. Not many people do that, honestly. Yeah, let's talk about fan league stuff. Anything specific that you want to know, Colton? Anywhere you want to start?
Yeah. I mean, there's the entire like multiplex. Joe and David won the team's belt.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, we had the culmination of all of the title pictures except for Warzone teams, basically at this point. And through that, we learned that Wookiee Mistake beat the Dummies, which we had talked about, and we learned that Guns and Chips beat License to Kill, and thus retired them. So we got a really killer teams match there that looked like Wookiee was sort of dominating it. And then through the course of rounds 4 and 5, really making up ground. And I did think Guns and Chips had an outside shot to sort of steal that title away from Wookiee. But Wookiee played smart. They played strategically. And the best part about that was sort of David's reaction to it, because honestly, it made me very choked up based on stuff that's going on in his personal life, that he was able to win that. That was a big deal for him. So that was really cool. That sort of lays the groundwork for the singles tournament, or the singles championship, where Joe won the 5-way, as we discussed. We discussed these things because I was in both of them and lost, so it was great. Joe won the singles thing. And then Scully got to take his shot, or got to be in the title picture because he was really close to winning the title at the end of last year. and beat Menchaca fairly easily. Then we got a great singles match between Joe and Scully, which the betting odds would have said to bet on Scully before, but Joe came in and he was just game the whole way. And it really sort of turned on the deep cuts. Joe sort of was able to build a lead on Scully in the deep cuts. And that sort of led to this give and take where, in those situations when you're playing at that caliber, you bet 2 at the end on every question for the most part. And Joe was just able to hold Scully off, and Joe ends up being double belted. He's the 4th person who's gotten both with Parker, Scully, and Nick. So he's the 4th one to do that. And Wookiee Mistake's only the 6th team that's ever won the team belt. And I'm happy that Dummies is part of that, which is wonderful. So now, if for those who weren't aware, Nick and Tim had a Q&A announcement, I think like Wednesday or Thursday, where they were discussing all the ins and outs. They recapped those title pictures ending, as we just discussed. And then they talked about all the debut teams, all the debut people that have been coming in, all these additional matches outside of that, because now that picture is done, and how that's going to set up for the next picture, which includes the addition of David, because he beat Jake, which includes Matthew, who beat, I forget, Alex, I believe. Albert, who got 2nd in that 5-way, because he got 2nd, he got to be thrust into this next picture. And then Coho, and they're going to have a mini roundabout so that they can decide who's going to play Joe next. And then for teams, they're going to do sort of what the Dummies did, which is they're going to have some rookie teams. Whoever starts winning a bunch, then they're going to be thrown in along with some of the previous established teams from the prior teams tournament who didn't get a shot in this last round of being available for the belts. And then that's going to sort of amalgamate, and that's going to set up who's going to take on Wookiee Mistake for their next title picture. And then they mentioned that there's going to be a summer tournament for singles, but that's only going to be 16 people. Some of the people who are in the 5-way, like me and Tyler and Holtzman and some of the other people, Menchaca, who don't get to be part of this next round, will be in the tournament, and then they'll figure out how they're going to do play-in matches. Sort of the same thing with teams. The one cool thing about teams that they mentioned was the idea of the ladder matches. Colton, did you watch any of this announcement from Tim and Nick where they talked about these cool new things they're trying to do with the ladder matches? Okay. I don't know if you heard.
No,
Colton, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, but there's a weird thing going on with your audio. So I tried logging out and logging back in. So I'm trying to see if it's my phone or not, or if it's.
Yeah, I mean, your phone seems a little in and out for me. So, did you watch any of the fandom announcements from earlier this week?
I did not.
Okay. Tim and Nick instituted, or they're talking about instituting this cool thing where they're going to do ladder matches to get a team, a number one contender match, probably further down in the summer and fall. Basically, 2 teams are going to play during the week, and then the next week, whoever won that match will play the next team on the ladder. If you ever played Mortal Kombat, it's sort of the ladder with how it is that you fight fighters if you're doing a single player campaign. And then whoever wins the next rung of the ladder, then they'll play another team the next week, and so on and so forth until they get to the end of that process, which seemed like a really cool idea. It's really interesting for the people who are starting at the bottom of the ladder, because they might have to play like 6, 7, 8 matches in 6, 7, or 8 weeks, which is absurd. So that sort of goes along with what the expectations are moving forward for this next title picture for everybody who's debuting, and then as we move into the summer tournament and the fall tournament. So that's what's going on with fandom. And then Warzone, they've been ramping up a bit. people of repute have been playing each other. Jake had a defense against Bar. Bar got an automatic title defense, a redo at the title because he had defended for so long, and Jake ended up winning that match. So Jake's waiting for his next opponent. Kumite is waiting for their next opponent. They're doing a little bit of a round robin with teams like the Stallions and Ginyu Force, I believe, and Bullets Over Broadway and those types of teams. So that's trying to be figured out. And then there's also been some debuts that have happened. My new team debuted to a loss, unfortunately. So Warzone's sort of picking up steam as they're trying to get everybody involved, but the title pictures there aren't necessarily as clear cut because Warzone doesn't necessarily do these Q&As or whatever that really explain everything out. And I just think Tim and Nick sort of have a better handle of how it is they want things to go forward, or they're at least more prominent with how they advertise it. But that's sort of multiplex in a nutshell.
Okay, so now I got it to where I can hear you good again. So can you explain the ladder match?
Yeah, I mean, so it's sort of like I said, it's like Mortal Kombat, where two teams in this case will play in a week. Whoever wins that match of that week, there will be another team waiting for the winner there the week after. And then those two teams will play. And then whoever wins that next match, they'll go on to the next week and they'll play another team and so on and so forth. It's just sort of kind of rapid fire teams matches. So you don't really get a whole lot of time to study. You just sort of go back to back to back. And if you're at the bottom of the ladder, I don't know how they'll determine this. If you're at the bottom of the ladder, you might play 8 teams in 8 weeks, which is kind of crazy. But I assume it wouldn't be that many. It'd probably be like 5 or 6. But still, that's a lot in a short amount of time, which is great. More matches, the better. But it's just another fun way to sort of weed out who they want to be the next team to go after Wookiee or whoever takes on Wookiee in this next iteration.
Okay, so it's like a week-by-week gauntlet match, essentially.
Yes.
Okay.
That is correct.
That sounds very interesting.
It does, for the sake of like how it gets put on, how the teams sort of endure that with the stamina, especially if you're starting at the bottom. So that's a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. Multiplex really sort of knows their business, so to speak, and they know how to sort of run a league. Good. You had mentioned open mic as well.
And then, of course, they had the Untitled open mic thing. I know you played in that for a little bit.
I did, because I was number 1.
Yeah.
Lucky was I.
So that was something. I don't know, like, has Untitled for people out there who's never like Christian, it's the opening night trivia league. They do their open mic is essentially a geek version of the free for all.
Yes.
But you came in as number 1, and
I lasted like 4 rounds.
Well,
yeah. I was not at my normal location. I was not here where I normally at. I was at my my mother and father-in-law's house, and I was standing and doing it weirdly. And Brittany and Joe came in at that time, which is obviously bad because they ended up going through the entirety of the open mic. But I watched the open mic. I didn't think I was going to want to watch it after what had happened, but I watched it. And that one round I was in was really just sort of a bad round for me. And I was pretty good playing along the entire way. So if I just come in at like 10 or 12 or something, I probably could have made it fairly far. I mean, there were 2 situations where Brittany and Joe closed out the table. They were just on another level. Even though Ryan came in at the end, he ended up being the guy that played Joe for the end. And Joe ended up winning. Big freaking surprise there. but he has an automatic title shot. Brittany was the
Yeah,
MVP.
and have they posted the teams match yet?
Which the championship match?
Yeah, with him and Eli versus David and RJ.
You know what's funny is they were supposed to do that according to their Q&A that they had yesterday. They were supposed to do that yesterday, but it looks like they didn't get that out in time. I assume David or whomever got busy. Maybe there's some issues with the editing. But no, that team title match hasn't come out yet. So we don't know what's happening there. We do know from the Q&A that there will be a tournament. There are a bunch of debut matches left in the can that haven't aired yet. They did mention how the current singles title picture will go. Jay is taking on Ryan Payne. Whoever wins that plays me. And then whoever wins that match plays Mark Kamier, who ended up beating Brittany in a one-on-one match. And that will be a number one contender match to play David for the title. Again, with the idea looming that Joe can come in at any time and do his title shot. And then they did mention that there are a number of singles people who have debuted. They mentioned GCC winners. Colton, you were part of GCCs once upon a time. They mentioned GCC winners playing some other established people, and then those people getting to play Brittany for a number one contender match. So Untitled sort of has their whole road paved out for the next 2 or 3 title pictures. But we are still waiting to see how these title pictures sort out because we do not know who won the team title yet. But that's basically, and then Untitled singles and teams, they're ramping up. They're getting close to number one contender in teams titles matches as well. I did get my message from Spence telling me that I was going to have singles and teams matches in the next 3 months, and I was like, "Ooh, 3 months? Maybe sometime during the summer." So that's basically everything. Interesting that the Geek League sort of have these Q&As.
So I can make this announcement real quick. My son's baseball team won. So
yeah. All right. Awesome. Cheers. I have water. So I guess that's what I'm cheersing with.
Yeah, I have Sprite.
So, that's pretty good. That is better than what I
got. Sponsor of the Supernova Show. I don't want to be sued by Coca-Cola.
We could also say if you want, because I bring this out, we could be sponsored by Yeti. Yeti makes a very superior product. So Yeti, if you want to sponsor the Supernova Show, by all means, we will take that money. But Colton, that's the basic of what's going on in Multiplex and Untitled. Obviously, there are, other leagues happening, but the stuff there has been sort of more inconsistent. So at this point, Untitled and Multiplex are the ones that are consistently putting out content.
Yeah. So, yeah, like it's really interesting. Like we'll get to see. I mean, I assume Joe's gonna cash in on David, the open mic thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a potential that could happen between all this stuff. It could also happen after this current title picture happens, so that the person who wins between Jay, Ryan, me, and Mark, if they beat David, then they could just come in and take us on right away, which would be great, but not really. But yeah, I mean, that's the assumption that Joe will use it soon.
Yeah, this is good. Before we move on to Schmoedown talk, is there any other things family-wise?
No, I mean, Full Metal's just basically doing classics and randoms, and Jack of All Trivia hasn't really done much lately after Joe won the title against Jay for Geek. And then PMG we are waiting to see the title match there between Antonio and Joe. I don't know when that will air, but we're waiting for that too. And then there's debate stuff going on, but we don't really talk about debate that much.
Okay. So I'm about to get in my vehicle and drive. So can you? I live like 5 minutes from the ball field. So can you vamp for 5 minutes?
Of course. Yes, I can vamp for 5 minutes, Colton. Thank you. I feel like I'm going to lose my voice. I'm just kidding. No, I'm good. You shove off. I'll be okay till you return. All right, everyone. So, as mentioned, I sort of provided the whole of the fan league picture there, especially as it relates to multiplex and Ontel. There are those additional smaller leagues, TMG Trivia, which is mostly in line for geek stuff. We had the geek tournament, which ended up with Antonio Chavez beating Tyler Birch to win the tournament. So thus he got a shot to play Joe for the title. We do not know the result of what's happened there. That has not aired yet. We also know, and you'll see sort of a consistent pattern with how these things go, that Brittany ended up winning the TM Geek for All, beat me at the end, unfortunately. So she has a title shot hanging out in her back pocket, so she can use that at any time. They're also doing debate details. I think Joe at one point was a TMG Entertainment debate champion, but that sort of got lost in the shuffle whenever it is that debate had moved off from being a consistent television network, a consistent show they were running. So they're going through a tournament. I know they also do some fun matches, like they've done some drunk matches. They've done some themed matches for debate as well. So that's going on there. Jack of all trivia, Jote. They're mostly going through geek stuff. Teams and singles has sort of been pushed to the side a bit. We did have, as I mentioned, the Jote geek title also given to Joe, as you could guess, given how all these have been sorted out lately. He beat Jay Burns for that. They had another match with Richard and Malcolm, which I believe Richard won. That went into overtime. That was actually a pretty decent match. And then there are then leagues that are sort of not as competitive going through as well, but we don't need to talk about those. Full Metal, as mentioned, they do their classics every Thursday. Malcolm mentioned something about bringing classics back for Sunday, but it's April Fool's Day, so you're not really sure how it is that you can take anything that you're given for today. And then they're doing their random matches for anybody who goes and speaks to him and decides to put in a challenge for any level of medium, whether that's movie, TVs, video games, books, anything that has a knowledge base that you can study, you can do a random match for. So if you want to go to any of these leagues and make these requests, you want to put in to sign up so that you can go in and be a participant, you can certainly do that. I think you'll find, even though the storyline portions of what's going on within the fan leagues aren't necessarily as crafted as what goes on in the Schmoedown, you might find that the competition level, question level of what goes on in the Schmoedown, of what goes on in the fan leagues, is pretty equal, if not better than what happens in the Schmoedown. So that's why I think, and you've seen it through a bunch of people. I mean, we just had pay-per-view, which we'll talk about, where prominent people in the fan leagues were participating and were very good. I think using the fan leagues as a pipeline, a minor league system, is even more so more of a good advantage than even the FCL. I know the FCL is designed so that people can go in and get more comfortable with the idea of being in the spotlight and getting used to developing character. But I think for terms of pure knowledge, you can't really get better than the fan league. So I think keeping in mind for Christian and anybody else who wants to watch those videos or be made aware of what's happening within those results, fan league should still be kept in mind. I'm looking forward to having our discussion about the Schmoedown, because actually I think the trivia in the Schmoedown, especially for the Friday Night Titans, has been very on point. That's what's been really cool. I like the design of the studio, even though, as I said in a previous occasion, I felt like it was missing a little bit of heart. I sort of like the old historical setup of how that went, the old curtains, how it was not done necessarily with the greatest budget, perhaps, but it was done with a lot of heart, a lot of moxie. In a lot of cases, when that happens, it tends to be a better product. Not saying that that's not the case here. I actually think the product has been pretty on point. And even some of I'm not the biggest proponent of what happens outside, what goes on in the ring, but I actually think there's been a lot of good stuff with how the Collins thing went down, how the Ethan thing went down with Janine and picking partners, how the Chandru thing went down. I think especially how the Sam thing sorted itself out and how he got to come back into the league, which is great for people who like Sam Levine. Those things have all been on point. And usually I'm not one to say that I would prefer watching Schmoedown stuff to fan league stuff. But in some cases, I've found over the course of these pay-per-views that I've compared them equally. And I know that's a crazy thing to say for people who are really in love with the Schmoedown. But I just have a thing about sort of no nonsense things because I participate, especially. That's what I find has been a glowing review for me from what's been going on in Schmoedown stuff. And I do think, even though the fan leagues are not as particularly interested in story stuff, you can see how people in those realms can transition and how it is that they can evolve in situations where there's more entertainment value to be derived. And thus, like I said, you can see how some of the fan league people coming in and doing the pay-per-view stuff hasn't really lost a beat, even for people who are not necessarily entertainers. So that's been really cool. Wish we could do, sort of a Q&A. It would be nice. I always feel like I'm talking into the void when it's just me by myself. Not really someone to bounce off of, not really anybody and any indication of how it is that this is going. But that's okay. Like I said, this is a vamping situation. When you go through and you look at sort of the quality of these last few matches in the Schmoedown, it's been very top level. And I've been really impressed with how the questions have been going as well. Usually I have a problem with sort of ease of question, but they really have created a scenario where round 1, round 2, round 3 questions are not created equally, and they really shouldn't be because of how their point values are. I did like the old way of doing the speed round when we were doing it in the digital age, because I don't think it makes you reliant on your reflexes, which in some cases, when you're playing 2 people in singles who are really reaching a pinnacle, reaching a zenith of their skill, I don't like that that's sort of the equalizer. It's sort of fun. It makes it exciting, but I did like the old version of the speed round that was going on in the digital age, because it's more based on knowledge as opposed to other skills. And it's trivia. You're not supposed to be able to have to work from a speed perspective, how it is that your hands can move quicker than somebody else. It's just about how it is that you can get stuff out of your head in time. But still a great product, still producing at a high level. And that's been pretty obvious with what's been going on here. Hey, look who I returned.
So what were we talking about here?
I was just comparing the products of the fan leagues with what was going down in the Schmoedown, because me, I'm not necessarily one who prefers Schmoedown stuff to Fan League stuff, but I've been very impressed by Friday Night Titans and things that's gone on lately.
Yeah. Just to make this clear, add banner. We are currently 7-8 in our predictions for the Schmoedown. So that's good. I already know who won between in the first match of Friday Night Titans.
Okay.
Because I watched it, totally forgot to ask you who the prediction was.
You did, and I have not got a chance to watch it because I am preparing for something in a couple days. That's been taking up most of my time.
Yep.
So what are we just gonna nix that one?
Yeah, we'll nix that one. We'll nix this entire show. What we'll do is probably still do predictions for it. Like, but I don't think we should talk about the first match of Friday Night Titans, especially if certain individuals are going to be watching the show. I don't want to accidentally spoil.
Yeah, I figured we weren't going to go venture in that realm anyway.
Yeah, well, because I know we had done that once or twice before.
And you got your hand slapped?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
What? No.
Okay.
But I just don't want to accidentally something happen.
I thought that would be cool if you did. You'd be like a renegade. It'd be cool.
Yeah, no. So yeah, that's and now I have my notes for the Schmoedown.
Yeah.
Start the Schmoedown portion of this because now I can access my notes because I'm not using my phone to film.
Absolutely. Let's go. Let's look at these notes.
Been so many matches since we last did this thing.
What was the last thing we talked about? I don't remember.
It was Ethan versus Janine. Like they announced that match.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Okay. So Ethan versus Janine. Janine joined the dungeon, and Ethan comes out as Mr. Irwin. He's not. Mr. Irwin killed Janine.
He really did.
Yeah.
Second round really determined that match, if I recall. I think he got like a steal or two, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And he just sort of put that one. I mean, he was really good in the first round. I think he went perfect. Or he went 9-10 maybe. And then it just sort of derailed in the second. And she did her best to try to come back in the third, if I remember correctly, but just didn't have enough.
Yeah, and then it was announced that Sam Levine versus the Barbarian would be next week, and we did predictions for all this stuff. So
yeah, we did.
And then JT and Paul Preston, aka the Movement, versus the Harris Brothers.
Yes.
You chose the Movement. I chose the Harris Brothers. I made a mistake.
I thought I was going to be wrong at the end. I didn't know if they were going to pull that. What was I forget what the question was about.
But I will say, I did like that at the end of the match when they won, Paul Preston did the John Cena dance from Peacemaker. And that was wonderful.
That was really great. I mean, say what you will about how they comport themselves as competitors, but I mean, like, their entertainment value is pretty high.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like I watch the fan leagues.
Yeah.
I watch it for you most of the time.
I appreciate that. You should expand though. They're good people.
Well, yeah, but none of the rest of them, like, do I talk to on like I watch Bill and I watch Jake because they're in your faction. So
cool. How about Anthony? How about your partner Ryan? Do you watch those guys?
Okay, so I not really, but I probably should. But yeah, like I watch Anthony. I do have a question.
Yes.
Now that Christine, is she your guys' manager or is it Anthony?
No, I don't think she. I don't think she can be now.
Oh, okay. Because I know
I don't know all the full specs of that. I think they tried to ask, or they're working on maybe trying to reinstitute her.
Yeah, because I know she's been able to do Classic.
Yeah, she was just on the one last night.
Yep. And I have no idea how that went because again,
your buddy won, your partner won.
Oh, really?
He did. I mean, he's good at classics. Trust me, he's beaten me 2 or 3 times in classics.
Right yeah, I am so ready for our match to come out. Like
I am ready as well. I have to imagine that would be next week.
Yeah, it was like, not to spoil anything.
Yeah.
But it was a good match. Like, I was pleasantly surprised. But yeah, like, it was good times. Like, I thought whenever I went into round 1, I was like, if I get 1 point, I'm happy. I accomplished getting at least 1 point.
That's good.
So I'll take it. And like, once that match comes out, me and you can talk about the strategy of it, or we can talk about the strategy of it when we get off air. But yeah, hey, Christian, if you're out there, I play fan league stuff too. I will not audition. I might audition for Star Wars. I could potentially do that. Potentially. I don't know if I think I could beat Sean Sullivan.
Oh,
I could beat
challenge.
Sullivan.
I hope we get to do another. I hope you get to do another one of those. What do you call them? A press conference, and Sean Sullivan's there, and you challenge him.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Like, we can talk about that. That press conference was awesome. Like, I had 2 questions I wanted to ask. Like, I asked the Becky Lynch question because, hey, I'm a wrestling guy. Christian watches wrestling. I knew that was going to be simple. And then I asked about the fan league question because I knew I was like, my friends are all in the fan leagues. Like, they're all in the fan league. Like, Amaru is the only person that I talk to on a regular basis that is no longer in the fan leagues.
Although he's still debating.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. He did just have a debate match for number 1 contender match to try to get to a title against Holtzman. I do not know how that went. I did not watch it yet. So
yeah,
no spoilers, everybody.
And I will say, like, we had the entire he had One Gotta Stay this week with Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
It was really good. Like, Chandra was on there, Jader Parama, Winston.
It's cool to have influence.
Jake Berlin and Chance Ellison were all on there.
Damn, it's good to have influence.
So, hey, Amaru, if you ever are watching this and you want to bring me on whenever the Wizarding World one is, I will totally take that because I know it's going to be on there. And we
have to get more ingrained with Christian so that you're more of a person that Schmoedown people know. Yeah.
So, which now all you have to do is send it to the PR team, and as long as like you get we'll talk about that off camera.
Oh, okay.
There's something there.
Gotcha.
All right, I'm gonna drop this 7 to 8 thing now
because you don't want to keep that up that you're behind.
No, just because like eventually I'm gonna want you to describe what your name means, but
we will. I'll get there.
Yeah. That's it. But yeah, so the family, it was the Movement Harris Brothers match. Like, I will say, I think Geek is harder in Schmoedown than in the fan leagues, but I think singles is easier. Because I don't get a single question right when I watch a fan league match in round 1. I typically get 2 to 3 questions right in a Schmoedown match.
I think I agree with the second part of your premise. I'm not sure about if Geek is harder or easier. And I think maybe it's harder because there's more stuff. But I mean, there are other leagues that have more stuff.
Yeah, and I guess because like when I watch fandom, I do watch Pixar and stuff. Yeah. I have watched that. So but I don't know anything about Alien versus Predator. I've never seen Indiana Jones.
That's a shame.
Oh, yeah.
Shame.
I have only ever read about the synopsises and watched like I want to, when there's not any content for like a few weeks.
If you want to do Indiana Jones,
yes,
I'm for it.
Yeah, I won't to because I need to watch it because I've gotten questions about in the past about got Last Crusade and Temple of Doom mixed up in my head because I've never seen those two.
Oh my gosh.
I've seen bits and pieces of Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I've unfortunately seen the 4th one that doesn't exist.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
And I don't enjoy that. So
you know who enjoys Indiana Jones movies a lot?
Who?
My partner, Antonio Chavez. Maybe
okay.
Maybe think about reaching out to him.
I will definitely think about that.
Okay.
But yeah, like I knew Martin Lawrence and Garden State, and then the Hunger Games, Like,
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then I knew John Boyega in round 2.
Yes.
And then I knew Felicity Jones, and I knew James Wan in round 3. And I'm just like, if I know the questions, then that's a problem in singles because I barely ever know anything when it's in the family.
That's fair. I think in the last 3 or 4 singles matches, I've gotten perfect rounds.
Yeah, like that's the one thing. Like, I really want you to audition so bad.
I think I would be. So if you look at like who's in the top 10 ranked, I probably would be like 9 or 10.
You really think so?
Do you think I'm underselling myself or overselling?
Yeah, I think you would be in the top 5.
No, I think people have more well-rounded stuff than me. I will say,
but that's the thing is, you could put Geek on the wheel, where not a lot of singles people.
I could,
can do that.
Yeah, it would be like me and Chance and Mike.
Yeah,
that would be like the extent. Dan, maybe.
Well, yeah, like so. I think you would do really well, and like if you would let me help you build a character, I will totally help you out and audition. And like I made a joke in the chat saying that if you auditioned for the Schmoedown, I would audition for the Star Wars League. And I already have a character in mind for myself, but I don't think I would win like one match.
That's all you need.
But I wouldn't want to fly out all the way to California because like they did reveal at the press conference that he only flies 3 people in during each taping, which is the reason why we don't see everybody.
Yes.
Which is the reason why, guess what? We'll probably never see anyone like Joe be in the Schmoedown because
no, he's too far away.
Flying from Britain.
Will Blunden be back in? Be in Australia? Like
probably not.
Probably not, right? Okay. That's a shame.
Yeah,
that's what I liked about digital is the globalization of it.
Yeah. I did like that as well, but yeah, like I did not like that was the only part that I liked about digital. I could not stand like watching these in studio matches. Now that I watch the fan league stuff, unless it's you guys, like I've tried to watch other people's stuff. Like watching the fandom matches with Joe and David.
Yeah.
And Joe versus Scully. Joe versus Scully was the most boring match I've watched in like 6 months.
I mean, you have to derive what derives pleasure for you. Is it playing along? Is it the knowledge that's otherworldly, or is it the other stuff?
Yeah, I just don't think it's entertaining, really. Like,
I guess, for me, when I'm watching these, it's not necessarily about entertainment. For me, it's about how I stack up.
Like, I think Joe is entertaining. I think Scully is as entertaining as a wet brick. So,
wow, you share that opinion with my wife. She feels the same.
Yeah, yeah. I don't like and I feel the exact same way about Caleb Boatman.
Well, I mean, Boatman tries to up it by singing and being a crazy like Gen Zer.
Yeah, and like I guess maybe it's because all these people are so young. Like I visually aged the other day when I was watching the Marvel One Gotta Stay, and Chance was like, I remember watching X2, and I was like 4 or 5 years old, and I aged visually. Like I started walking with a limp and everything. Like I was it was awful.
Cane came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
like, where did this cane come from?
I was 11 years old when that movie came out, I think.
And I was 14, going on 15. So.
Yeah, like I'm just like, what the crap is wrong?
It sucks when that happens. But yeah, no, I do end up hanging out on stream with a lot of people in their early 20s, and it's weird to me.
Yeah. Like those people haven't even lived really. Like
no,
so weird. But I'm sure like when I was that age, if I was hanging out, well, I was never hanging out with people that much older than me. But if I like even like during my party years, like when between my
25 and 27, I was sometimes hanging out with older people, and I thought to myself, I must look ridiculous here because they have lived full lives, had children, and I am just over here drinking 13 shots in a night so I can pass out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's an entire thing. But yeah, then we got Sam versus Barbarian, and
You called that.
I did not watch round 1 at all because I forgot about the match and was watching No Way Home because certain things are it came out that day and me and my kids were watching it. So I was like, huh. And then I looked and it was past 8 o'clock. And I was like, crap, I missed round 1. So Sam won. Then we had
Yeah.
our,
Can we talk about that? Because you called it and I didn't. And my rationale was I was not sure how Sam would do 4+ years out of the ring. And it was like no time had passed. And I was like, well, if I had known that, then I would pick Sam, obviously.
Yeah, like that's one of those reasons why I was like, I didn't think he was going to win the title. Spoiler alert, pay-per-view. It's in our description of the video. He won the world championship.
He did. And he's tied the record for the most consecutive wins.
Yeah.
And there was a 4-year gap between wins 7 and 8.
Yep. Yeah, like
he's incredible. He's like, you have to start thinking that maybe Dan isn't the greatest of all time.
Oh, I absolutely back when he retired, he was number 1 for me.
Okay.
Him.
Well, because he had done something nobody had done yet, which is so valid.
Like, I didn't even consider Dan in the top 4 at the time because he had just lost a guy.
Fair. Okay. All right. He's won the title 3 times since then.
Yeah, since then, I think he is now. Dan is number 2.
You think Sam is 1 now?
Yep, Sam is 1. I think Mike is 3, and I still think Alex is number 4.
Okay.
Thomas may take that, and I will say, if Thomas takes that, it's because he showed up on the Supernova show, and we have that kind of an impact. Totally.
Yeah. I would still say Dan's 1, but it's a huge discussion, and I will say Sam can, for me, take that mantle, and it be undeniable if he defends 2 more times, or if he defends 3 times, I guess is what I'll say.
Yeah, if he holds the belt the entire year.
I think it's unassailable then.
Now, they did say that there will probably be digital matches this year.
Oh, there will be? Okay.
Yeah, because they want to do Star Wars, and so many people live so many places that they are willing to do Star Wars digital, but for patrons only. Because they won't be able to put the production value in it like they want to. So hiding it behind the paywall. And just like having the number 1 contenders match and the championship match on Titans. And I'm like, cool. Because, there's no way you're going to fly in, unless you're going to fly in all these people and just have it like an entire weekend of just them filming Star Wars matches.
Yeah.
And honestly, I feel the same way about Geek too. But now we've seen 1 Geek match. So maybe it's possible that they'll do that once a little bit, but then that makes me feel bad because I want Amaru to win the belt. Guess what? He's got to play at least twice before he can do that. Because he's going to have to beat someone like Parker and then beat Smet and then beat Mike.
Yeah, that's a tough task. I feel bad.
And with him only having 2 matches a week now compared to the 4 that they were having last year,
he might not play. We might not see him play till
like June.
Yeah. July.
Yeah, and I doubt there will be tournaments this year.
No, I think that would be almost impossible, right?
Right. Because they're only doing Friday Night Titans.
It's kind of funny how the expansion after the worst part of COVID has now been like a constriction, and now they can't do the things that they were even doing prior to adopting a digital age. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, I guess it's because, again, they now are using a new studio. It's not their studio. Like,
Of course not. No.
Once they get, apparently they're in the process of building their studio. Once they do that, they'll be able to film more often, especially with more LA centric people. So then they can do like tournaments and stuff because a lot of the singles players live in LA.
Maybe one day, Colton. And if this happens, I want to take full credit for it. Maybe one day, if it gets so popular, Skybound has so much money, maybe they can build a second studio in New York or on the East Coast so that people don't always have to go to LA to film. Maybe they can go to the East Coast and film.
Yeah.
Pipe dream, maybe, but
yeah, I was like, you live like right in the middle of the country, so
I know it doesn't affect me. I'm just saying that, or multiple. Maybe I'm underselling that. Maybe what if there's multiple studios everywhere? No, that would be great.
Yeah. But yeah, so
they had the Barbarian.
Yep, and then Adam Collins joined Swag, and we saw the weirdest cutscene ever, where Shannon and Marisol both cried. And
yeah,
I was really weirded out about that because
I didn't really watch it. I saw that crying was happening, and I was like, okay,
yeah,
they tried, they went for it.
And then it's revealed it's going to be Bibiani versus Chance, and then they have a little cutscene saying that Shazam might play Corruption in April, but only if Shannon agrees that if Corruption loses, then Mike and Chance have to split up.
Yes.
Which I'm like, this is a way for them to get Chance away from Mike because Mike's the weak link, and to put Chance with Marisol. And that's a dangerous combination there.
That would be scary as hell.
Yeah. Shazam's not going to hold the belts if that happens. So the worst thing that Shazam can do right now is actually lose. Like, the best thing they can do is lose that match.
Well, they'd get an automatic title.
So and then they would get the automatic title rematch, and then that stipulation wouldn't be there. So then they beat Corruption, who would not have an automatic title rematch because they wouldn't have defended it at all. Yeah. And then the status quo would have been restored. But that's like in a thing where like
they're trying to be the best team ever. They can't do that.
Yeah, and I don't think they would throw a match just for the storyline implications because there's no way. No offense, Bibiani can beat Chance, but I don't think either one of them can beat Marisol.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think Bib since we kind of know like Bib's already beat Chance.
Yes.
And it's indicated that like maybe Bibbs will play someone else, and then the winner of that will go up against Marisol for the number one contenders match. And I think Marisol's going to, unless they put Dan, or I'm trying to think who else is in the top 5.
I can't. I know Barbarian's there, right? Still.
Yeah, but he won't do it. Like, I don't think there's anyone right now that can beat Marisol. That's not the champion right now.
Yeah. Okay. I think Bibiani could.
Yeah, like
on a good day, I think he could.
Yeah, and then of course we had Marisol versus Sam for the singles title, and their bonus question, I loved it. Freaking Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, and Marisol's like, this is a very undervalued movie. And having rewatched them all since the special, I changed my list. Chamber of Secrets is the best Harry Potter movie.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. Chamber of Secrets is the best Harry Potter movie. And I hate that I like that David Yates is doing all these movies, but I wish it was Christopher Columbus doing all these movies.
Oh my gosh.
He'd burn out. He would be burnt out as crap because, there's 11 of these things. But I really like the idea of, it's better than Sorcerer's Stone. And
I need... okay.
Because, Amaru says, he likes Prisoner of Azkaban, which guess what? It's a really good book. And I think Chris Columbus. There's no Christopher. Is it Christopher?
It's Chris Columbus.
Okay.
Although his production company's named 1492.
Okay.
That was cute.
So I think he is a better director than Alfonso Cuarón. So,
oh my, dude, you're digging a hole, man.
Yeah, I know I am.
You're digging such a hole. You know that one dude is a 2-time Best Directing Oscar winner, and
I mean that's fine.
I'm just saying,
I'm saying, like in the context of this universe, like
again, you're still digging a hole.
Like I like Prisoner of Azkaban less the more I watch it.
Jesus Christ! Oh my gosh. Okay. So full disclosure, I'm watching these because I got a match coming up, and I don't think I'm going to get to all of them because my match is soon. But I watched Sorcerer's Stone today, and I actually found I liked it a little bit more today than I usually did. I have to see what I think about Chamber of Secrets, but just because I might like things a little bit more doesn't mean that they're gonna usurp Prisoner of Azkaban, which is great. I don't know what.
Like this is a beautiful, wonderful book, and the movie. I will say it's better than Goblet of Fire.
Yes.
I don't know if it's better than Order of the Phoenix. I really like Order of the Phoenix.
I like it better than Order of the Phoenix.
I do like it better than Half-Blood Prince. Because
I do, but I like Half-Blood Prince a lot. But that's
the same thing. That problem with this is the same thing that happens in Goblet of Fire and Half-Blood Prince. Too much is cut out from the material. It really
there's a lot cut out at Order of the Phoenix too.
Yeah, like that's true. But there's not like anything significant in my mind. Like there's
I want to know about Elf Kitchens, man.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's stuff like that I'm just like doesn't need to be in a movie. But like, the Fidelius charm, which I will never forgive Alfonso Cuarón for ignoring the Fidelius charm and why Peter Pettigrew, his betrayal is such a bad thing, because they trusted him with a magical secret, not just a regular secret, and because Sirius knew he could not be trusted. That's the reason why he was like, ooh, give it to Peter. No one will suspect him. People will come after me and torture me, but I might not be, if I'm tortured, I might not be trusted. But immediately they give it to him and he runs off and tells Voldemort. I like that dynamic better in the book than I do. And it's the same thing. Like
people like book dynamics better than movie dynamics in general.
Same thing. Like Half-Blood Prince, I can't stand Half-Blood Prince because they cut out all the Voldemort backstory except for his scene in the orphanage and a little bit of his other stuff. But they cut out all.
That's a lot of pensive stuff. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Which that's the reason why I say after Order of the Phoenix, they all should have been 2 movies.
Jesus Christ. Okay. That's a lot of movies too.
But
I don't agree with all the stuff you said, but that's fine. Let's go back to the Schmoedown stuff after that. The bonus question. Our first ever perfect game.
Yes. And it was just the fact that Sam got more speed round questions.
So that's what I was talking about, vamping about while you were coming back home.
Yeah.
You were talking about one thing that you liked about the digital age. One thing that I really liked about the digital age was the speed round.
Yeah, I did not money. I like the buzzer.
I don't like the buzzer as much. And I don't like it because you're not relying on the thing that trivia is supposed to be relied about, which is your knowledge. It's about reflexes.
Yeah, well, it's about, can you get to the button and get to the answer before?
Okay, Sam won that match because he hit a buzzer quickly and was lucky enough to say the right answer.
Yeah.
And there were 2 answers.
Yeah,
I mean, that's dumbass luck. So that's why I don't like it, because in the digital speed round, it's not dumbass luck. It's the same thing. And I know that probably makes it, if we had that, they probably would have both went 10 for 10, and it probably would have been an overtime match that went like 30, 40 questions in overtime. But wouldn't that have been compelling too?
No, I think honestly, eventually over time, like I didn't like when Corruption and Shazam did it. That was too much. I liked when like when Alex and Andrew did it.
Okay. Well, that's because you like Star Wars better than everyone.
Because that was the first one that was like that long. But eventually, it kind of gets tiresome. Like you eventually get to the point.
What about the Mara Rachel Cushing one when they were both dying on screen?
Well, I more felt sorry for them because they were both sick.
I mean, so did I. I felt like they were being punished, honestly, when I was watching.
Yeah, like I was just like, honestly, stop the match, let them go back and be better, and then bring them back. Just tell them to put the same shirt on, and then start the sudden death.
Oh my god! Like they're both like this, and then they come back and they're all like peppy. You'd be like, "Oh shit, what happened?"
Yeah, just be like,
"What cocaine did they take?"
Yeah, but yeah, I've totally done that. Like freaking, not done cocaine, not that, but like been like, "Ooh, I have to film something," and then realize, crap, I gotta go put back a dirty shirt on and redo this because I was filming. Or like in the beginning of the podcast, we did the trivia thing, and which I'm so glad I don't do that anymore because man, one, it would be awful because you're the only one playing, so I would just be asking you questions.
Yeah.
Which that could be fun, I guess. To see if I could stump you.
You would be able to. I am not unassailable in that way.
I was like, I probably would not be able to because whether it be geek or whatever, I only asked the core 8 categories in geek, and singles I only ask various categories. Like I don't go in depth, so it would be like a basic like round 1, whatever. But yeah, like I have totally sat down because like it was Kevin versus Anthony in the first match, and I realized that day I was wearing the same shirt. I wasn't wearing the same shirt that I was wearing in the video that was playing. So I was like, man, I'm gonna have to put that on. Just be like, hey, we're back.
Yep.
And whatever. But yeah, that was good. But yeah, Sam won, and that was very interesting. And like
his pull at the end was great.
Yeah,
I didn't know if he was going to do it. I was sitting there. I was like, we're going to get this one wrong. Marisol's going to win again, which isn't a bad thing. If Marisol had won, it would make her a top 3 singles champion of all time.
Yep.
But I just wanted Sam to win because it's a cool story, and he has a chance to win 10 in a row, which is insane.
Yeah, and then of course, like I will say, I'm excited for Titans tonight, not only because of some things that I've seen, but yeah, like mostly like I'm just every Friday I'm like, ooh, I get to watch Titans. Like last Friday, I was watching the pay-per-view. My wife was passed out on pain medicine for C-section, and my son was sleeping. So I was over here on my phone, and I watched the entire pay-per-view on my phone. And I was like, yes, this is good. And granted, last week I could have totally, if I had known that that was going to happen, I could have had my laptop and just recorded the podcast from my hospital room.
Yeah.
But hindsight being 2020, you never know those kind of things. So, yeah. But I think that's everything with Schmoedown.
Can you remind me what pay-per-view matches are happening tonight?
Well, neither one of it's Ben Bateman challenging somebody. He revealed that he wants to challenge somebody, and then there's a match there's a storyline thing that happens right at the beginning of the episode, and then that opens up a match.
Okay, so, all right. So can't talk about it. I guess.
Yeah, I cannot. But yeah, let's see. I don't know how much longer you have, so let's talk about Halo real quick.
Okay.
And then we'll talk about MoonKnight real quick, and then we'll call it a day.
Okay, sounds good.
But yeah, we've been here for a while.
We have been. I've been talking a lot.
Yes, you have.
That's okay though. Sometimes I like to hear myself talk. I'm not ashamed to admit it.
Good. But yeah,
Yeah, so thinking about reaching out to Schmoedown people, there are the UNSC is reaching out to I don't want to the people of Madrigal to try to give them a bone. But unfortunately that reach is cut off by the Covenant, and thus we have Halo.
Yeah,
that's my transition.
Like I will say, I don't know, should I throw up spoilers for this?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so my entire thing about episode 1 and 2 is the first episode I thought was really good. Like I never noticed CGI stuff.
Oh, okay.
Like
that's where we're gonna differ on this because
unless someone tells me about it later, then I'll notice it. Like I never noticed in No Way Home that both the scenes that Flash Thompson are in is behind. He's just in a green screen.
I didn't notice that till I watched Honest Trailer this week.
Yeah. So I never noticed that, and like I never noticed what was wrong with the elites.
Oh my!
You pointed it out, and then I noticed it in the second episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, it's like I didn't expect like the prophets, the 3 weird alien dudes.
Mm-hmm.
They look so much like what they were supposed to look like in the game that I was really happy about that. As someone who I played the first 4 games religiously.
Okay.
I really like what's going on here. I know some people don't like it. Like it took me a while to realize that the voice was not correct.
Mm-hmm.
And now I can't unhear it. And I don't know if I like when he takes the helmet off and he's like, "Yeah, you're gonna have to shoot me." I was like, "Oh, okay." Now I'm not sure if I like that he takes his helmet off, but I'm sure I will get used to that.
Yeah, I mean it's obviously more prevalent in 2. And I didn't really find that to be a problem, but it's just funny how his body looks in the armor without the helmet on now. Like it makes me laugh sometimes.
Yeah, and especially like he takes off the armor, and that's weird because like in the games, he doesn't take off the armor because it takes like these big massive machines that then have to like undo them.
It's like Iron Man 1.
Yeah.
But even worse.
And the armor weighs like 5,000 pounds, and
which in real life it weighs 55 pounds. Which can you imagine walking around with 55-pound weights trying to act?
Yeah, and
Pablo Schreiber, as much as I enjoy him, is not doing a whole lot of acting.
Yeah, and like, so I like that fact that like he's I think it's weird that he's starting to get a conscious before he gets Cortana, because in the games that's not really a thing.
Well, they're sort of making it seem like Cortana's supposed to curtail his conscience.
Yeah, which in the games and the books, she's kind of the thing that's like, John.
She's the thing that tethers him to be
reality,
more like a human, to be tethered to reality. So yeah. I only played 1 and 2 really, so my Halo knowledge is not very robust.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I understand what the ring is. Like, they're talking about, oh, we got to get the Halo ring. And I'm like, yeah, you do.
That's your shot. That's your shot, guys. That's what you got to do.
Yeah, you got to get the Halo ring. If like, spoiler alert for anyone who's never played the game's been out 22 years. But the Halo ring, when it gets turned on, it kills all life in the universe. So yeah, you need to go get that.
Well, Ref, who I think is my wife's favorite character, she didn't really watch episode 1, but she watched episode 2 with me, and she's like, "This guy is hilarious." I'm like, "Yeah, I know, it's great." He was my favorite part of that episode by a mile, but we can talk more directly about different episodes and how we felt about them.
Like, I like the look of the energy sword that the elites carry. Like,
that looked good. Yes, the sword looked good. I like that.
And I like the look of the Arbiter. I did not like the look of the other elites.
No, they look so bad. They look on the level of like
fan film.
I was gonna say like Doomsday.
Yeah.
And he looks like shit every time I watch that movie. So yeah. that's what it reminded me of.
Yeah.
And then like when the Spartans are doing some stuff, it's very like it's herky jerky, and it freaks me out a little. I don't like it.
But yeah,
this is the flagship show of Paramount Plus. It's supposed to be anyway.
Yeah, which I mean,
you could say Picard, you could say Discovery, but that was in CBS All Access. This is like Paramount Plus in this iteration. This is the show.
Yeah, and like it's so weird. Like, I mean, I really like it. I mean, I may not later, but right now, I mean, it's kind of sad that now it's not the best thing on television. Don't worry, the thing that we're talking about next still is not the best thing that's happened on television this week. Freaking stupid thing on Sunday is the thing.
Oh,
best thing that's happened on television all week.
Can I tell you? Can I give a background to everybody?
Yeah,
I sort of did. So I'm playing in this match, and I'm rewatching Wizarding World and Middle Earth, and my week has been spent watching Hobbits. Fantastic Beasts, the 1978 Lord of the Rings.
Oh, let me know what you think about that.
I thought it was hilariously insane. Good. Well, I mean, I don't know. Weird. It's so weird. There's some stuff that I can't get past with it. But I mean, like Halo. Just to finish my point, and I'll let you go.
Okay.
Watching Halo, this episode 2, I found it boring as hell. And and the only thing that I've liked that I've watched this week is the thing we're going to talk about.
Yeah, I will agree. Like it was boring. It was a lot of the politics around, and then
but like even politics can be exciting, but the politics here are like derivative and stuff I've heard millions of times before.
I know, and it's even like last episode, Halsey's daughter is like, "What? My mom is messing stuff up. I should have that technology." And then she does it again in this episode.
Yeah.
She goes to that admiral, is like, "Hey,
look at all the fun! Look at all the funding they're getting. I was instrumental in all this technological advancement. Give it to me."
Yeah, like I don't know. And I do like Lord Hood. Like they cast a great guy to play because he looks exactly like the dude from the game. So I'll take it.
Cool.
How much you could have just got like any old guy and then made sure he doesn't have facial hair.
Yes.
And so they succeeded there.
Yeah. I don't like in a boardroom meeting where they're split because of seating and then people's opinions are like that's like Congress, but that's done on purpose. This is like a board meeting, but yeah. I wanted to make sure that people's political affiliations or how they felt about the situations weren't derived by where they were sitting. But it almost got that way. And oh man, this is the most egregious thing. Remember the woman who's like trying to figure out what Cortana is, and Halsey explains it, and she's like, "What do you mean?" And then the lady's like, "Weren't you the one who wrote this paper on such and such?" And I'm like, "Lady, it sounds like you know way more about this than you let on when you asked the stupid introductory question about what was going on. What was that?"
Yeah,
it's the weirdest thing, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, like I liked the episode for what it was. I hope the next, I don't know if there's 6 or 8 episodes. I can't remember.
I'm trying to remember now myself. 8? I think there's 8.
But I hope the next 6 are good.
Yeah.
But I mean, I figure this will encompass all the events of the first game.
Yes.
Because I would assume. I mean, it could be like, hey, 2 seasons is the first game, because that's a lot of stuff to theoretically do. But I will say, I'm glad he left the girl, because immediately at the first episode, he's like, he's like connecting with this person, and I'm like, this is literally every single story that's coming out right now. The Bad Batch and Omega, freaking Mando and
Grogu.
Like everything is being like, hey.
There's 9 episodes.
Oh, okay, great. But yeah, like everything is like, hey, we found someone who changed our perspective.
Yeah, it's the wolf and cub thing.
Yeah,
we've done it a lot.
And then there's like that other Spartan that is played by the same guy who played the Shocker.
Yeah, Bokeem Woodbine, and I like Bokeem Woodbine, but in this one So it's funny because he and John were like 2 separate sides of like emotional coin, where like John is stone-faced and doesn't do anything, and Bokeem Woodbine was like always at the like, I have underlying anger towards you, but look how happy I am because I'm free. And there wasn't a whole lot of anything beyond that one emotion tick that they were hitting on both sides. And I dislike that. And I like Bokeem Woodbine. I love Pablo Schreiber, but I feel like they're being wasted a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, like I'm really curious where it goes. And before we get to Moon Knight, I do want to talk about what we were just talking about. Fun Times, Lord of the Rings, Ralph Bakshi. So one of the weirdest things, like I remember I watched Fellowship of the Ring, and then found out there was this cartoon movie of Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
And I watched it, and that scene where like the Nazgul go upstairs and they start stabbing the thing, and then the Witch King for some reason like takes his hood off, and then he like is wearing a helmet, and then he looks at you because he knows you're watching. It creeps me out to this day. Like
the screeching, I found them. There are things in there I found utterly more terrifying than what happened in Fellowship.
Yeah, like the Nazgul are so much creep, and like I do like the fact that like
Gollum looks like Mac from Mac and Me. Have you ever seen clips of Mac and Me?
No.
Oh, there's a running joke Paul Rudd does on Conan, and even does on his podcast now, where Paul Rudd will be promoting something, and instead of showing a clip from the movie that he's in, he'll show a clip of Mac and Me, which was an E.T. ripoff that McDonald's tried to use to sell McDonald's products in the 80s.
Yeah.
And Gollum from 78's Bakshi's Lord of the Rings looks remarkably like Mac from Mac and Me. It's so strange.
Yeah, and like the Nazgul, the way they move, they're so creepy.
What I love about the Lord of the Rings of 78 is that because of the animation, nobody ever stands still.
Yeah.
Everybody always sways like this. Or like when my favorite is when Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli are running after Merry and Pippin, but they can't like run in a straight line, so they do like this weird like curvature thing, and they look like speed skaters where they're trying to hold a curve, they're like running into it. Oh boy.
And I do think it's weird because when they meet Strider for the first time, and he tells them that he's Aragorn, and he has the sword, and like that's one of those moments where like I actually like how Return of the King does it.
Yeah.
Better than how the book does it. And I'm pointing to my bookshelf over here, but is like he gets the sword later when he finally decides to be king, instead of just immediately getting it or having it for a long time.
Yeah, this one they're like, no, he's got it.
Well, and that's what happens in the book. Like as soon as like Elrond tells him who he is, like when he adopts him, he gives him an elvish name, so he just thinks, oh, I'm a weird looking elf, and then he's like, no, you are Aragorn, son of Arathorn. You are crap. What's
Isildur's heir?
Yeah, and then he's like, what? Elisar. Yeah, you are King Elisar II. And he's like, okay, and he gives him the sword then. So like it's a big thing that he has the sword during the all of the battles. But then like in Return of the King, that's like Sauron doesn't really know. He kind of suspects that Aragorn's the thing, but so whenever he looks and like it's the one scene of in the extended editions that I actually like is he looks into the Palantir and he has the sword and it startles Sauron a little bit because he knows this is the era of the Isildur and he has the sword and crap, I might be screwed. And he thinks Aragorn has the ring and he's just like, I'm really screwed. And like that's one of the moments from but I mean which the books came first, so like
they hold precedent. I also thought I was joking throughout watching 78 Lord of the Rings that I found it horribly racist. But I mean, you can make your own decisions about that, but I thought there was some weird racist tendencies towards it, but whatever. It's fine.
But yeah, all right, so Moon Knight.
Yes, the thing I was very excited, the best thing I've watched this week.
Now, I will say, apparently this show is going to run straight and then immediately Miss Marvel's going to pick up.
Yes.
Which I like that.
They said this 3-month gap between No Way Home and Moon Knight starting is like the longest gap we're going to get from Marvel content for
a while.
5+ years, maybe.
Yeah, so like that's good. And then by the time Miss Marvel's going, we'll have Obi-Wan at the same time.
And Doctor Strange.
Yeah. And so we won't have like any weeks where I can just be like, hey, let's talk about Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I know. You were talking about that. Like, well, we're not really going to reach that, are we?
I mean, maybe. Like if the 5th one ever comes out, then we'll do it. We'll put it on the docket.
I'm not sure it ever will.
Yeah. But yeah, Moon Knight, it was so weird. Like
I loved it. I loved how weird it was. By the way, you can't see it now because spoilers is up. That's what that's from.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's if you watch how Oscar Isaac does his Stephen Price character or whatever. I likened him to Simon Pegg's girlfriend in Shaun of the Dead. Because he just sort of had that affectation, like when he talks on the phone, he goes, laters. And she would go, bye, 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 bye. That's I have conflated them because to me it's kind of a similar idea.
Yeah, I thought it was really like I like the episode a lot. It's so weird because like I've never read anything Moon Knight related. Like that is one comic line that I just have no idea about. No. So it's weird that like he has multiple personalities and apparently he doesn't remember the others. And like there's Mark the American.
Yes.
There's
in like mercenary, apparently.
Yeah, there's Steven, the British
the timid British gift shop person.
And man, he was gonna have a date and like
can we say that this is the most fantastical thing about this episode? I brought it up constantly with my wife, but we just need to. The thing that was most unrealistic about the whole episode is that I'm supposed to believe that Oscar Isaac has trouble getting a date.
Yeah,
that's nonsense. It's nonsense. I don't give a shit how timid he is. He's freaking Oscar Isaac.
Yep, I agree.
So silly.
It's so weird hearing him talk with his normal accent.
After the British accent, it's a little strange, honestly.
Yeah, because like
I thought his British accent turned out pretty well. People were concerned about it, but I thought it turned out pretty well.
But yeah, like because obviously, like we've heard him as Poe Dameron. Yes. We've heard him as Apocalypse, which is kind of like a muffled something. And now
it's a godlike voice. You make
and then now there's him being British.
How about him as Duke as Leto?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. And that one's good too. Like,
I mean, that's his accent. That's just how he talks. But I like it. I mean, that might be my favorite Oscar Isaac. And unfortunately, spoiler alert, he dies.
Yeah, like I do like that they like we've talked about it before with Dune. They make the relationship between him and Timothy Chalamet's character a lot more open than it is in the book. Like they don't really communicate that much because he's like, oh yeah, that's just my kid.
This book that's beside me that I think maybe one day I'll finish, but maybe not.
Yeah, I've mentioned it. I'm not gonna finish it till
I'm halfway through it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna finish it until the second part comes out. Because even though I know a major spoiler from it, I still want to see it on screen and not have any expectations. Because apparently, with me, if I have any kind of expectations at all when it comes to get disappointed. So
I understand.
Like, I think even though I really like the new Lord of the Rings show, I think I'm going to be disappointed because it's apparently not going to follow some of the events of the Silmarillion, and I don't know how I'm going to feel about that. But so I'm going to have to shut that down. And whenever we talk about it a few weeks before, just like pull Will Smith and slap me and tell me, hey, it's its own material. Calm down. But yeah, MoonKnight. It's good. I like that.
It has CGI problems too, but it doesn't just detract from it kind of the way Halo did for me. But that's fine.
Like I do have so many questions about like obviously like he puts the thing up and he ties himself to the bed, but obviously his other personalities know this.
Slip out.
Yeah.
Obviously, I was like, does he have a window? Does he just fly out the window and he doesn't think that he could do that?
I was gonna say like his other personalities know that he puts the blue tape up.
Yeah.
So do they just take it down and then whenever they come back in, put a new one up and then strap their leg back in and then?
That's a good question.
Like I had so many questions why, and I'm like, man, I wish I knew someone who was a MoonKnight fan, a comic fan, that could tell me, is this actually how it's supposed to be, or are they taking liberties with it? Because if they're just taking liberties with it, then I'll never understand. I mean,
they might be taking some. Yeah.
But like if this is a thing where like, yeah, whenever he passes out, the MoonKnight takes over and does the thing. Yeah. Like and then of course there's like the scales guy. I can't remember his name.
Hawk.
Yeah, I just can't remember what the character.
He called himself Arthur, but I don't remember what his. I don't remember if he said he had a last name. Well,
because like they say it, like his servants around say what his actual name is, but I just don't remember what it is.
Well, there's Amet, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Who's the god? That's the demon boogeyman god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm very interested because there's only 6 episodes of this, and apparently they released the first 4 to some of the press people, but they wouldn't release the last 2, which means there must be some bat crap crazy stuff happening.
I'm so in for it. I'm so in for it. I'm looking forward to it.
Yep. But yeah, I'm very excited.
I like how it's situated. I like how London's lived in, Europe's lived in. I like the choices in the music, which I didn't realize till I watched a review that all the songs had to do with sleeping or waking up, which is awesome. I like the idea of people blacking out and then just waking up and weird shit's happened. The fantastical thing about him not knowing he lost 2 days after being awake for a few hours is kind of silly, but I'm fine with that. They established that he's bad with timing. So
I do like the interaction with him and the voice in his head where he falls asleep, has a gun.
Yeah.
Falls asleep, all the people are beaten up. He falls asleep, and then he wakes up and he throws the gun out the window.
Yeah, that's great. You just throw the gun. I figured you would love this relationship because it's so Venom-like.
Yeah, it is. And like
it's so Venom-like to the point where I was like, is this Tom Hardy? Because I didn't know it was F. Murray Abraham. I was like, did they get Tom Hardy to do this? Because it sounded very similar.
Yeah, like it is. It is absolutely like Venom in his head.
Yeah.
Being like, did you just throw the gun?
I'm glad we got the suit right away. I'm glad we don't like, because I was watching this review. They're like, every Marvel show is like building up to people getting their suits. Wanda, Sam, Clint.
Yep.
Even if you think about like Vision in What If, in the Ultron body, and it's just like, yeah, no, I just be in the suit. It's fine. You can be in the suit early. Doesn't have to be a reveal. It's fine. And that was even a reveal in itself because it was the end of the episode. But no, now we know what it looks like, and that's cool.
Yeah, and I do wonder, like, will all the personalities in his head like combine at some point, and he will become Moon Knight in his own right, or will it be that he falls asleep and Moon Knight just takes over?
It's a good question. I don't know. Again, you said you haven't read Moon Knight. I wasn't a comic person. I don't know anything about Moon Knight.
Yeah, like, actually, like we'll talk about this in just a minute once we're finished with Moon Knight. But there's a comic character that is coming out that I'm really excited about. But yeah, like, it's a good show. Like, I like that it was, how long was it? 46 minutes?
Yeah, I thought it flew by, honestly. I was very happy about that.
I'm glad. I hope they all stay about that length. I
probably will.
I'm gonna be mad if they do like the 30-minute thing like they did with Hawkeye sometimes, or with Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. Like, they have like 32-minute episodes. I'm like, you can have an hour. Like Halo, they had 2-hour episodes.
Yeah, but there's freaking commercial breaks in between, and that sucks.
Oh, really? I don't have any of that.
Oh, I get commercial breaks.
Okay.
So to me, I get upset. Honestly.
Yeah, I
that
guess
adds to me being upset and bored by Halo.
Oh, okay. I don't know if it's because we paid for Paramount Plus or not, or if my wife pays for a commercial-free option, or if it's because it comes with Prime like that. I don't know, but I didn't watch.
Well, lucky you.
Yeah, because I would hate that as well. Like, when we have to watch commercials with, like, Grey's Anatomy plays with a commercial before it, and I'm like, this is the longest minute ever, and I'm just like, this is stupid. Yeah, commercials are stupid. But yeah, did you hear the big thing with, like, they edited Falcon and the Winter Soldier a little bit?
Yeah.
Apparently, like, there's less blood in the scene where Zemo shoots the scientist who created the formula.
Yeah, but they said it was a rendering issue, right? Or there's a technical issue.
I think honestly
they were fixing it.
It could be. Like, I think it's because, like, now that they've added, like, Daredevil and all that stuff to Disney Plus, now there's a parental control that you can turn on, and I wonder if that much blood would have made Falcon and the Winter Soldier move past the parental controls.
Okay.
Because that's how they determine it, about if you say the F word more than once or the amount of blood. So it could be something like that, and they had to edit it so that, kids and stuff could still watch those shows. Because like, I set up a kids version on Disney Plus, particularly because I don't want them watching the Netflix stuff that is now on Disney Plus, because even though I've given them both the talk, I don't want them to see and have, like, see that and be like, Dad, what is up with this? And I'd be like, oh, yay, cool. Blind man has sex with Rosario Dawson. Then big strong man has sex with Rosario Dawson. Does anyone else have sex with Rosario Dawson? I don't remember. And because they're gonna have questions about things, and I just don't want to deal with it. So, but yeah, apparently this week the writer of Moon Knight came out and said that he is in the process of writing a Nova movie or a Nova show. I don't know which one, but I'm very excited about that because I love the character of Richard Rider. And, like, since they already, blew up the Nova Corps, Like that's how he gets his power. Is he gets his power from all the members of the Nova Corps. So the fact that they're all dead means that power is out there, and if he survived, boom, he can get it. And I just hope they put like someone like Nathan Fillion as the role, or if they do it with like someone who's actually like a good actor, I'm cool with it. But like Nathan Fillion in my head is totally Richard Rider. But if they decide to do like young Nova, like the kid version, then I'd be okay with that too. But it's all just really according to how that goes and all that stuff.
Of course.
But yeah, it's been a good show. Next week I have another ball game, so we may actually just like start later, or we'll talk the logistics, because I really did not enjoy that first part very much, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. But let's go ahead. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I enjoyed it. It's hard to come up with things without like banners and whatever, and not being, making sure that I didn't go forward without you. But it was fun. Thank you for having me. Keep eyes peeled for trivia stuff. I got stuff coming out. It's been a minute since I've been on something, but it's coming about. So I guess I was on miscellaneous on Monday, but I got other stuff coming out. So be aware, Robert Kastner on Facebook.
Yep. And then of course, like next week we'll talk about all the cool stuff with the Schmoedown. And hey, Nick Tewig was watching the show.
No way.
Yeah, I just saw a comment. I'm gonna.
Oh crap! I don't believe it.
Yeah, it says, "Great show, fellas." Woohoo!
He's too cool for us.
I'll take it. Hey, Nick, if you ever want to come on the show and like whatever, let me know.
Yeah, I'd be all for it.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. We'd have two great trivia players and then a washed up hack, which is myself. Before anyone gets any of that,
don't call me that guy. That's not fun.
Yeah, no. Yeah, like but yeah, that was good. Yeah, next week we'll talk more Schmoedown stuff, and I will try and watch more fan league stuff before next week. It's really hard to do with a new
I understand. You have a built-in excuse.
Yeah, like yeah. It's very interesting. But yeah, like I can't wait for next week's episode. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And thank you for ranting for probably 25 minutes all by yourself today. With very little input for me. I cannot wait to watch this back and see how awful it was with my face every once in a while, because like
sometimes it was very close up. It was very interesting.
Yeah, via my phone, like my headset is here, so I was like having to listen here. So whenever you made a point, like we were talking about Will Smith or whatever, then I'd have to turn so people could see me.
Well, you got to deal with that sometimes when you're on site, buddy.
Yep. So that's what's going to happen. But yeah, it was good. Thank you so much. I super appreciate it. Nick, thank you for watching the show. I super appreciate that. But yeah, let's sign this out.
Don't forget to tip your virtual waitresses, guys, gals, everybody out there in the Supernova Show landscape. Let's go.